if you don't get where you want to go when you're 20 or 30, even 40, don't give up hope. You
Mm.
can still get where you're going if you just keep trying.
Okay. Hello, Raiders and Crafters. I'm Valerie Isan.
And I'm Eric Mertz.
And this is episode 202 of the podcast. It is October 15th, 2025, as we record this today. We are here with our guest, Ann Abel. She was here before on the podcast, so I'm really happy to see her again. Today we're going to be talking about finding voice and identity through social media and anything else that comes up in our conversations. We'd like to thank our existing patrons for believing in our work here and offline. You can become a patron of the arts at patreon.com/Valerie Isan, IHSAN, and patreon.com/Strange Air Stories for short stories in the paranormal mystery genre. Let's see, author update. I am in the midst of launching my 4-month book coaching container, Aligned Author. And right now the price is still cut for the launch special. And so you can go over to valerieisan.com/aligned author for all the details there. Um, I think the sale goes until the launch special goes until the 19th, I think. So there's only a few more days left of that special discount. Um, yeah, I think today we're painting. I think we're painting on the house today. That is my author update.
For a
I'm
second,
also
I thought that was the title of a book or something. Like today we're
Today
painting
we're
is the
painting. No,
yeah.
I'm gonna be prepping this room for painting, and we're gonna be. I'm gonna call the. They have charity shops that will send trucks and pick up all your stuff and haul it off for you. So I am about ready to do that, and yeah, we're just trying to empty the house and get it ready for the renters. So that's kind
In the
of
retrospective of this year's podcast, that room is gonna like slowly, like
yeah.
it was this like
If you watch the
grand
YouTube videos.
monument to a writer, and now it's become a bit more minimal. What is my author update?
But true like, boxes of books, though. That's true author.
Are they going with you? Are the books going
Yes,
with you? That's the
these ones are going with me.
cool.
What about your author update, Eric?
Uh, I am running a whole new series of Google ads, which, kind of changes the writer business profoundly. So when you run Google ads, there's kind of this proving point where like Google's trying to figure out who your ideal customer is. And so I've been fielding a lot of very interesting inquiries. I'll be really,
That don't necessarily go with what you're
I,
doing.
I mean, I don't like to use the word qualify, but there are some of these that don't qualify. So yeah, I mean, there's been that. I've had a lot of client work to get through. I'm kind of polishing up some stories for a repackaged. I'm going to take all of the witness account stories that I had
Hmm.
written over the years. I'm going to do them in a big omnibus edition. So I'm polishing that up and getting a cover for the teaser story. And yeah, so just, the train keeps a moving, even
Train
though,
keeps a moving.
yeah, yeah.
What about you, Anne? What's going on in your world?
Well, I just had a book, as you know, come out 3 weeks
Yay.
ago, so that's new in my world.
Love it. Love it. Links to the topic, right? I mean, the book has to live in social media. We're going to
Yep,
find
I
out how
have it
that
right
works.
here. My personal copy. So I'll definitely
Nice.
put links to that in the show notes. So speaking of reading, so I'm reading
Uh,
The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, and
oh my gosh, that's so good.
yeah, I'm really jonesing for fiction right now, though. So I think I'm gonna have to put that one aside and do some fiction because of the move and all of the chaos. I feel like nonfiction, I don't know, it takes a little bit too much of it's a different part of the brain, that right now
Yeah,
I just need to like not use that part of the brain because I'm using it so much right now. It's just really fatiguing. So
fair enough.
I need the escapist fiction. So I think I'll probably pick up a Ruth Ware or a Lisa Jewell mystery next, probably something nice like that.
When I
Um,
read that book, when I read Rubin, I listened to it in audiobook and I listened to it in
oh yeah.
in pieces. He performs the audiobook, which is like it's like hearing the voice from on high, the way he delivers things.
That would be really good, actually. I think
Yeah,
I would like it better as an audiobook.
yeah.
What are you reading now?
Me. I am reading a book called I had to Google it because I always screw up the title. It's called Down the River Unto the Sea by Walter Moseley. It's a sort of New York City crime story. He's the author of the Easy Rawlins books. He's got like, if you look at the guy's a traditionally published author, but if you look at his, like, he's published so many books. He's got like five different detective series. So it's kind of fun to it's kind of fun to look at an author who does a lot of different in the same genre, and then how they do it differently. Like like what itch is that author trying to scratch with this detective and that detective and this storyline. So this book is bonkers good. I really enjoyed it. And I also picked up Summer of Night by Dan Simmons, which is going to be my sort of late October um, Halloweeny spooky season book.
What's it called again?
It's called Summer of Night
Summer of Night.
uh, by
Okay.
Dan Simmons, who's, I mean, just extremely prolific um, sort of horror mystery guy. So, but this is the one that everybody says. He wrote like the Hyperion books, which if you work at a
Hmm.
bookstore, you've probably
Yeah, I recognize
schlepped
it's his name.
yeah, yeah, right. But this is the one that everybody says is sort of his like Stephen King-esque masterpiece. So I'm really excited to take that to Ghost Story Weekend next weekend and
Oh,
read it
yay.
there.
Oh, that's exciting.
Woo! Doing
That's
Ghost Story
definitely
Weekend
author
again.
update. Cool.
I
I
forgot
definitely
about
want
that.
send pictures. Put them up on your Facebook
Well, it
and
will
your
be very
Instagram.
interesting that we're having this conversation because I am such a dormant social media person. And one of the things my marketer has said is like, you need to start doing this. Like, it's the leg of the stool you don't do.
Mm.
So I've been thinking of like, what's the event? Like, what is the thing that sort of gets me started in
Oh,
that?
this would
Like,
be perfect.
so I think Ghost Story Weekend, the whole Halloween thing is so visual. I mean, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And what are you reading?
Well, I just finished Yellowface.
Oh, is it good? I have it.
Yeah, it was good. I don't think I loved it as much as most people.
Okay.
And I just started Entitlement by Ruman Alam. I just started it. Um,
Entitlement.
I'm going to butcher the author's name. Is it R.F. Kuang? Is that how you
yes,
say that?
Hmm.
yes, yes,
Is this your first book by them?
yes.
Okay. I've never read anything of theirs.
We're
And
mostly a fantasy author, I
Yeah.
believe.
it gets a little ghosty at one point, but
Okay.
it's mostly about it's the publishing world gone awry.
Which
And
seems like interesting topic to read about,
yeah,
you
and,
know?
and about social media,
Uh-huh.
being attacked on pulling in the new social media aspects of things.
Well,
Well,
I've had Babel and Catabasis on my shelves, or in my Goodreads shelves for a while, so I need something to get into that author.
I think we should. That sounds like a great segue to talking about social media and voice and
Let's do it.
yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest like elephant in the room, not elephant, but how do you balance being vulnerable online in front of the world, or at least the world that's watching your Instagram page? How do you balance vulnerability and privacy and still give readers something to, connect with or engage with? I guess that's the biggest question that I, still battle with. What are your thoughts on that, Anne?
Well, I don't think it's really any different for me for social media than when I'm writing a memoir. And I'm pretty transparent and open about my life. And um, I just put it out there.
Do you have any like rules for yourself or like what you can say and what you can't say or topics you avoid?
Well, when we start, I mean, I don't talk about my grandchildren. I don't talk. really about my children, although they are in the grandchildren aren't in my High Hopes book, but my children are. But no, I talk about what's important to me and what I'm going through. And I talk a lot about mental health because I suffer with really severe recurrent depression. I've had 3 regimens of ECT, which is pretty much unheard of. And the last one was a disaster. And it's crazy to me, but even in this day and age, depression, mental health is so stigmatized. People, you know, people don't think it is, but it really, I was in 10 years ago or 8 years ago, I had back surgery and I was back in the hospital and I was in so much pain. I mean, and they sent in a sociologist and she said it had on there that I suffer with depression. She said, "It's your depression. You have a low pain threshold. Tomorrow we're going to put you on a bed of ice. I don't know what else to do." Well, it turned out they had just automatically stopped giving me this drug gabapentin, which was supposed to manage the pain. They had forgotten. They had just cut it off. And for
Wow.
3 days, not only was I having withdrawal because you need to be stepped down, but I wasn't getting the therapeutic effect. But because it was on my chart that I'm depressed, that when they don't know what to do, that's what they say it is. The next morning, the president and CEO of the hospital were sitting by my bedside. Um, it was such a travesty. But if you say you're depressed, then if they can't find the answer, that's the
Uh,
problem.
so would you say you're an advocate for mental health on social media?
Well, I mean, I talk about it and,
Mm-hmm.
not every post is about depression. And you can see
Mm-hmm.
we do lots of different things. But when there's a story about it, I'm very open. And that's how I began. And people would write to me, in the comments and they would thank me and I can't tell you how many people write to me and tell me how I inspire them.
Mm.
You know, and actually, I believe that by sharing our stories with one another, we can sometimes offer each other a glimmer of hope, inspiration, and even some fun. And that's why I do it. We did one in December. Went to a holiday park here in New York City. It was kind of just a fluff thing. And the next, when we posted it, a woman wrote to me and she said, "Anne, I was having trouble getting into the holiday spirit, but watching your video gave me a glimmer of hope." And
Mm.
every time I say that story, I get chills. I mean, I've had people tell me that one woman, her husband had died on Monday, and Wednesday she wrote to me and she said, "I was thinking about you as I went to my husband's funeral today."
Wow.
I mean, I get all the time people write, your voice is soothing, your voice is calming, you're relatable and interesting. First it's surreal. I didn't really know what they were talking about, but I now I just turn off my brain and I just do it. Because I don't feel like the person they're describing. My parents always told me I had nothing interesting to say, but now social media was saying something different. It was as if it were the antidote to their toxicity, which isn't to say I
Mm.
don't wake up in the morning thinking, "Oh, another great day to tell a great story," because I don't feel like that person, but I just turn off my brain. And when my social media camera person says 3, 2, 1, go, I just do it.
So when you're creating content, you're with your team, yeah?
No,
No?
no, the stories are my story. I mean, I I come up with the content.
Mm-hmm.
I come up with the content. We collaborate on what pizza places we're going to go to, but they're my stories. He doesn't know
Uh-huh.
my stories.
Uh-huh.
So they're my stories.
I'm
And they
wondering.
have to be short, and you have to be short. The shorter the better on social media. I mean, 3 minutes is the max, and but it's better. The shorter the stories, the shorter the videos, the better.
What is your do you have a ratio that you gauge, like go between reels and
No,
stories and okay.
no, I mean, we do all sorts of things, and a lot of it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. You don't
Hmm.
know. I mean, we did this. Frankly, we had a take-in pizza. It was terrible, and we said it was terrible, and it went viral. I mean, it went viral. I don't know, you know. Go figure. I did one. We went to a pastry place last spring. Actually, I love pastry, so we've decided like it shows on my face. That one, I mean, millions of views, I think it was. But we try to mix it up. My husband was supposed to go to Paris a year ago, but then he had these surgeries and he couldn't go. And I hate to travel, which is why this book, High Hopes, is a book because I really hate to travel, but when I needed to, I went to Australia 10 years ago. But so he was supposed to go to Paris a year ago, and there was to give a paper, and I wasn't going to go. Why would I go? And then it got postponed till June. Meanwhile, we were doing these videos around New York City. I'd lived here for 7 years. We would never go. All we ever did was go to doctors during the week and go to plays on weekends. We never went to restaurant. We never went anywhere like that. We started doing these videos and people loved them. And first of all, it made it fun for me knowing that people wanted to see it. So even if I wouldn't have wanted to go to this pizza place or this sandwich place, knowing that people were interested made it fun for me. And then someone said, and maybe you should go to Paris in June and do posts from Paris. So that's what we did. And so that was pretty crazy. And we're going to Japan in May,
Whoa.
in May, health permitting. So
Hmm.
it's really opened up my world because I would never do these things just for me, but it's fun. It's fun to share it. I love sharing, whether it's stories, things, places. I like to share. And this is just another way of sharing.
I think that's amazing that you take something that isn't your wheelhouse. Like you don't like to travel, you don't like to be on social media, like you don't like doing these things, and yet you're managing to marry both of them in a way that has really lit up your audience and made a difference to other people. And I don't know, can you
Well, actually, yes, I can very much because social media has opened up my world. I was asked to do a TEDx talk. I'm doing it in December on the topic is innovation and hope. Everyone else is is a tech person, a
uh-huh.
CEO, but they saw me on social media. They know the story of my going to Australia and what the innovation was. I was desperate. I had had my third round of ECT. It had been a disaster. And then after having one desk too many thrown at me at the community college where I'd been teaching, I just walked out the door the fifth week of the semester and said, that's it, I'm not coming back. But as soon as I was in the car heading home, I was terrified that without the structure, my kids were grown, my husband travels, without the structure and focus of the classroom, I'd fall back into the abyss of depression. I'm not the kind of person who can sit at her desk or sit in a family room alone and try to figure out the next thing. That was just, so I needed a lifeline and I needed it really fast. And I'd gone to my first concert. We talked a little bit about this when we spoke a year earlier, a Bruce Springsteen concert, and I went just to spend time with my kids because they had just gotten married 6 weeks earlier, but I was undergoing my third regimen of ECT and my memory was wiped out. We had to stop it. I didn't remember their wedding, the ceremony, the guest. So I went with them to this concert just to spend time with them. And then Bruce Springsteen, the magic just lifted me. So now I'm driving home exactly a year later. What am I going to do? And I remembered how hopeful and alive I felt at Springsteen concerts. And somewhere I'd seen as I was doing lessons and stuff that he was touring in Australia in 4 months. And I remember exactly where I was on the merging onto the expressway. I thought, I know I'll go to Australia in February and follow the 2014 High Hope store. Now, again, I hate to travel and I hate to be alone, but I was really fighting for my life. So I went on this trip and I didn't go to change. I just went for the structure and focus. I was terrified. If I could have just disappeared from the world like a wisp of smoke, and not left anyone sad behind me, I would have done that. I was terrified. It was 8 concerts, 5 cities, 26 days. And much to my surprise, I came home a different person. For the first time in my life, I had a positive ball of energy and a story about me that I was proud of, a story about me that I wanted to tell. I wanted to be part of a conversation. I wanted to talk about mental health and what I believe is this transformation that began when I went to Australia 12 years ago, it's continuing today. And what I believe is really, for me at least, important in a transformation is perseverance. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Hope, because that makes the perseverance a little more palatable, and being open. When I went to that first concert, if when the music started, I just said, I wish I were home sleep in bed where I like to be at 9 o'clock at night. But I was open to what the music, and I live outside my comfort zone. If I didn't live outside my comfort zone, I would not get out of bed in the morning. Everything I do is pretty much outside my comfort zone, whether it's doing social media, whether it's going to, if I think having ECT, I did that. I was terrified, but I was told it would help. So I tried it. I will do anything if I think there's a chance it might help me. And with the social media, well, it helps. Maddie, Milo, and Me, my first memoir, it's She Writes Press's all-time best-selling memoir. It's a good book.
Wow,
It's a
that's
good
awesome.
book, but
Uh-huh.
it's the social media. When I had my first viral, the book came out in April. I had my first viral video in November. I mean, over, I don't know how many million people watched it. And I can't tell you how many people wrote, I'm buying your book, I'm buying your book, I'm buying your book. And every time I would have a viral video, I mean, I don't really know how to track it, but I would look at the Amazon ranking and it's uncanny. Like you think, no, it can't be. But then you give it a day or two and you see the Amazon ranking just get better. Um, it's it's kind of surreal because I don't know, I don't have see numbers really, but
Hmm.
except for these rankings, which I don't really know what they relate to in terms of how many books. But it is She Writes Press all-time best-selling memoir.
I wanted to read a little excerpt from your book, if that's cool. Yeah. It is on page 252. You said, during this trip, I had no one to turn to, no one to help me when I felt terrified or lonely or angry or sad. So, by trial and error, consciously and unconsciously, I had helped myself. And I had not done it in a vacuum, in a world where no one existed but me. On the contrary, each time I'd been felled by a feeling of sadness, loneliness, hopelessness, or all about despair, at times combined with jet lag and fatigue, I had motivated myself to put one foot in front of the other, step outside my hotel room, and let myself be absorbed into the excitement, the life, the humanity around me. I really, really loved that passage because it speaks to me of that persistence that you talked about and that resilience and how to live outside your comfort zone like every day and get up and try to find a way um, to make a difference for yourself, but uh, for other people and for yourself. And I guess I just wanted to say that I loved reading that about your book and also how when it comes to social media, how do you were you doing it at that time? Like were you
Oh,
on social media
no,
then?
this was 2014.
Okay.
First of all, I don't even know. There was Facebook, I guess. I don't know. No,
Okay.
I did not start social media really until really late 2023, but I wasn't really doing anything. And then when Maddie, Milo, and Me came out in April 2024, I was doing it, but we were just like, you know, I think by November, before my first viral video, we could not break 15,000 on Instagram. It would get almost to 15,000 and then it would go down. And then we posted this video, an apartment tour.
Mm.
Arsenio, my social media guru, he came over one day and he said that I sent out a questionnaire. People want to see your apartment and they want to meet Andy, my husband. So I just rolled my eyes like, okay, all right, whatever. And I pretty much you can see it there. I felt like I like this is this room, this is that. And I pointed to my bedroom and I said, "That's my bedroom, but you can't see it because the bed's not made." And someone actually commented, I forget, she's so perfectly imperfect. Her bed wasn't made, but it went viral. It went, and the next, no, we posted it, and the next day I saw I had gotten like 3,000 more follow. I hadn't been able to break 50. Now I had it was a Thursday. I had 3,000 more followers. I looked at my Amazon ranking. It seemed better. So I wrote to the publisher and I said, I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but I just suddenly got 3,000 new followers and it looks like the book is doing better. Well, then that was Thursday. Saturday, it went viral. And then there was just no question. I mean, at one point in December, when we had another video, I was ranked above Cheryl Strayed's Wild. I mean, these are moments to live for. But so no, I wasn't on social media then. I didn't. I don't know. I don't even know if Instagram was around in 2014. Really, when She Writes Press said right before Milo came out, Maddie, Milo, and me said, she sent out an email to everyone. You need to get on social media to promote your book. And I went to my dog walk. I didn't want to do it because I never want to do that. And I asked my dog walker if she knew anyone who did social media. And she had a company of her own. She was a young woman from Russia, here 6 years and very entrepreneurial. And she gave me the person who was doing it for her. And that's how this um, we just were finding our way, both of us, both he and I, and we are still finding our way. It's kind of a lawless society out there,
Yeah, it
so
seems like what works for it's just a figuring out what works for you and what works for someone. It's like a chemistry, like what works for you might not work for me.
right.
I wonder if you could. My question with social media, and I shared that I'm all thumbs when it comes to social media. I never know sort of how to post, and so when it comes to things that are like an event, a talk, and something that has um, many different facets. I mean, what has your experience been? I mean, is it do you plan a number of posts and a number of stories if you're giving a talk, or is it all just like kind of
Well,
you
some
do it all
people
at once?
do. Some people do. I do not. I do not. First of all, because most of what you do is more than 3 minutes. And we'll maybe do a montage and just show, and just show it. But no, some people do. And some people post their, podcasts that they've done. They do snippets. We just don't find it gets much engagement to do that. Again, it's to each person, but um, we pretty much don't do that.
What are the posts that you get most engagement from? Just straight pictures or?
Oh, no, pictures do not get anything. Everything we do, it has to be a video.
Okay.
Videos to begin with. Look, I'm not an expert here, so I'm just saying, what we find and what we do that, like one day, like if I was going to post that I'm going to be at a library and I want people, way back, I'd write to him and say, can you just put on there, and he says, no, and you have to do a video. So I do a video saying I'll be here, everything is videos, nothing. Um, he does some stuff with Instagram stories. Again, I don't know any of the back end stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know we do not post, pretty much don't post photos or static things.
Yeah, I've read that in certain articles because again, I'm always strategizing on how to get this started, but like it's video, like the degree of of engagement from video down to photo is like it's like
Right,
10 times. It's
right.
absurd.
And you
Unless
have
you're
to
a
have a
renowned
hook.
photographer.
We try to have a hook at the beginning now, like people say this is the best sandwich in New York City, something really quick to grab people's attention, and then we work our way down.
So your content that you're putting on social media, you said that it's all stories.
It's not all story. No, it's a mix. It's stories. And lately, because of the book, it's announcements like,
Mm-hmm.
I did a video. We went to Asbury Park and I did a video to announce, the book came out on Bruce Springsteen's birthday. So we
That's
drove
awesome.
to Asbury Park and I said, here I am, in front of the stone pony, the room where it happened, wishing, and you
Hmm.
come up with a story, wishing Bruce Springsteen happy birthday and wishing Godspeed, and you just do it as quickly as possible. You tell a story announcing that your book is coming out today. And you do it at the Stone Pony. You know what? This is crazy. We did a bunch of Facebook ads and different ads, and we found we did some in Times Square and we did some in a Bryant Park. And we found that the ones in Times Square got more hits. You've got the neon lights in the back, it just pulls people in. Um, and it's trial and error a lot.
So you said
Yeah, you never
earlier,
know because and you can I follow Google Trends like what's trending. Like you never like there might be something trending in relating to Times Square that has nothing to do with your thing, but then you're just catching that other wave.
Right,
So you have to welcome
right.
luck into the equation as
Oh my
well.
God, there's so much. A lot of it's a black box, but there's also data. You can look at data and you can see what gets what gets more engagement, what gets more hits.
Yeah.
so you said earlier that social media has really changed your world and you've been able to get all these opportunities that you wouldn't have had before in the TED Talks and and just being able to connect with your readers. Do you think that your Do you think that once these opportunities started showing up and you're getting more and more audience and views, that your voice is changing?
Okay, well, two things. I think I go out I go out walking to a doctor. I can't tell you how many times I get stopped, and some older people like me, but so often young people who tell me they follow me on TikTok will stop me and they'll say, I love you. I follow you on TikTok. I love you. You are so inspiring. And the message that they're hearing is that if you don't get where you want to go when you're 20 or 30, even 40, don't give up hope. You
Mm.
can still get where you're going if you just keep trying. So many young people say that to me from TikTok, especially. So that's part of my story, and part of my story is that I went on this trip in 2014, and that was the beginning of this transformation. And I came home. I knew for the first time in my life, I had a positive ball of energy, and I knew I had a story about me I was proud of that I wanted to tell. I didn't know I had terrible writer's block. I, I couldn't write it. And then I got my husband to move to Chicago for what was supposed to be 4 months. And I just fell in love with that city. My first day there, my dog walker told me about storytelling and the moth. I had never heard of either of those things, but I knew I had this one story and I started baby stepping my way, going to the backs of bars and standing in front of a mic, which I'd never done, and trying to tell in 7 minutes. That's what you had at an open mic. And then I started to get good at it. And it's so different than writing because you have people sitting right there that you get positive feed, you can get. And then people started inviting me to be in their curated shows. And I decided, okay. And I went to the Moth and I did pretty well there. And then I decided I was going to become this elder, there was a man there who about my age, and he was, older, and he would tell these from, the elder statesman kind of story. So I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to become an elder storyteller. So I contacted this coach, and the first thing she said to me is, if I could wave a magic wand and grant you one wish, what would it be? And she completely took me off guard. I wasn't, and without thinking, I said, write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of what, and I suffer with terrible writer's block. It took me 3 months before I could force myself. I finally had such self-loathing after 3 months because I just couldn't make myself do it. But then, so we're in Chicago, and then I stayed there for 2.5 years. I liked it so much. My husband was commuting because he had to go back to Philadelphia. He was commuting from Philadelphia to Chicago for 2 years. And finally we realized it was it was too much. So he wanted to move to Chicago, but it was too cold and we didn't have any family there. So I said no. And he said, well, you're the one who's not happy in Philadelphia. You pick. And just the way I do things, I just said, okay, New York. Um, before we moved to Chicago, before I went on this high hope, when my husband was traveling, I would go to New York and see plays. That's all I knew about New York. And I just said, okay, New York. And we moved here. I mean, we knew nobody. And it's just been baby stepping, so that was a big change that really helped my transformation. I met people here. And, then I started writing these books. I was writing High Hopes, and then it was during the lockdown, and an editor had it for ages. I had nothing to do, and someone said, write about Milo. And I said, I can't write about Milo. I have writer's block. And then I found 50 pages I had written 15 years earlier after he died. And I quickly had a beginning, middle, and end. And I realized it was a more straightforward story than what would be High Hopes. So I decided to try to get that out into the world. And then I'd go back. And someone that I had been put on Facebook with, who told stories at the Moth, published that she had just put on Facebook that she had just published a memoir with She Writes Press. Like I'm 67 years old, 68, maybe it was more. I wasn't going to spend 10 years trying to find an agent and then
Mm-hmm.
be told no. So I sent it off to She Writes Press. They took it. And then I went back and worked on High Hopes, and I sent it to them. And this was in 2023, but she wanted to wait until after Maddie might, to give it time. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's just been this big, and then, I started doing the storytelling, and when I won 2 story slams for the Moth in Chicago. And then when we moved here, I wanted to win one story in New York City. So I told a story about Milo, and I won. It was before the lockdown. So these things inspired me, winning, telling the story about going to Australia at the Moth. It made my parents told me I had nothing interesting to say, but now the people at the Moth, the people in the storytelling community in Chicago, they were telling me something different. So I've really just been baby stepping my way, and I don't know what's next. I don't know. I have a TEDx talk in December, which I have no idea, but um, and I always say, when someone offers me an opportunity, even if usually I have no idea how I'm going to do it, and I just say yes.
That's
And then
awesome.
I just try to figure it out. I just try my best to figure it out. And I mean, I used to have on my bucket list, I don't know if it's called a Moth Main Stage, and they're held in these iconic theaters. It used to be on my bucket list to be part of one of those programs, but I took it off because I didn't think it would ever happen. But they asked me to do one, and I'm doing one Friday at
That's awesome.
the State Theater of New
Congratulations.
Jersey. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just do and that's another thing that I say on my social media, and I believe all you can do is do your best. That's all you can do. And even if you don't succeed, you have the self-respect of knowing that you did all that you can. And if you do all that you can, there's nothing more. Sure, maybe you wish you had succeeded, but you did what you could, and that's that. And so I really am a firm believer in just doing your best because that's all you can do.
Those are really wise words.
Amen. Can I ask just a sidebar question? Favorite pizza in New York City?
Oh
My
God.
parents are New Yorkers, and so I
Oh my
living in
gosh.
Oregon. I grew up with this. This is my father would always say, "There's no pizza out here. You can't eat
Oh,
pizza."
that is
So,
so not true. That is so not true.
well,
Wait,
Portland's now considered one of the great pizza towns, but it's more of this artisanal,
all right.
come to our experience.
We did one 2 days ago. I think it's called Blue. You can go on my social media.
Yeah, I was waiting for
We
that
did
invite. I'll go
one,
follow you.
it's not today's. Today was a sandwich one, but we did one 2 days ago. It's crazy. And then there's one, Sarah, there's a bunch of them. It's unbelievable. For the one, we got to this one Saturday at 5 o'clock. And they said, first of all, there's no seating. And someone put it in order and they said it will be ready at 9 o'clock. Can you imagine waiting 4 hours? We did another one a few weeks ago. We got there
For
at 2. We got there at 2. They said, come, it will be ready at 6:45. So we went and did a bunch of other things and then and we actually were and none of these places sell slices. So we were standing in line and we were talking, and then this man turned around and he said, "Oh, I'm a follower." He was all alone. And he said, "I'm a follower of yours. How about I'll buy the pizza and I only want one slice." And we're like, "No, no, no." So we became friends, and he met us back at 6:45, and it was really crowded inside, and we said we were going to eat it outside, and it was raining, and they said, "Well, if you go out with that pizza, you're not coming back in." But we took our pizza, we had our car, we opened the gate of the SUV, and the three, we did we had the three of us, we now had our friend, our new friend, and we're getting together with him in November. I mean, it was just. Uh, and everyone's writing, "Oh, Jim looks like, oh, he looks like a great guy." We said, "Here's we met a friend." So that if you look, there's plenty, people love pizza, apparently.
They do. They do. And then when they travel halfway across, they come all the way across the country and they mourn the loss of New York pizza for decades.
Okay,
Give
well,
me let's do this. I don't, we talk sometimes about tips, right? Like what, writer tip of the week or writer tips here. Like what would just be some, if you're in my position and maybe I'm just fishing for tips because I'm like always looking to get started, like give us a couple of tips for, how to look at your life on an everyday basis and say, what is the fodder for a story? I don't live an exciting life, but maybe, I don't know, like how do you look at your regular life and find the fodder for social media?
okay. Well, for me, social media and writing are kind of two different things because I really do suffer with terrible writer's block. And it was actually a problem when I started doing storytelling because I think, except for the Australia story, which I knew was a story, I'd come up with an idea, and then as soon as it was an idea, I'd tell myself I wasn't, but it wasn't an idea. But I guess one thing I find, and I don't, used to think I was an introvert, but I turned out I was a depressed person, an introvert, an extrovert in depressed person's clothing. So I seem like an introvert, but I'm really an extrovert. And I think things that you find yourself excitedly telling someone about, if something happened to you and you just find yourself, that's what you're talking about. I think that's a good start. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
For
what
me,
Yeah,
excites you?
yeah.
Hmm.
I think
it,
go ahead.
no, you go.
I was going to say, I think the struggle for people is the connection, right? Like I write
Right,
mystery, but I'm also into pizza. Like, why would anybody make that connection unless but I think the connection is you, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
right, exactly. And people like my sweaters, they like my glasses, and they'll ask me where I get them. And I tell them. And people, and I get a lot now. And I've been following you for a long time. You seem happier now. I get those. You seem happier now.
Sort of like they always say you're not really a writer until you get a one-star review. Is the troll the sort of like you're not a social media person unless you have a troll? Like, is that the new
No, I
gateway
don't know.
to,
See, it doesn't bother me at all. See, I'm really cool with it.
but that's the world we live in, right? And there's probably 90% of the people are people who are positive and, more than
Maybe even
90%.
more,
Yeah.
more, but it's just weird to have
Yeah.
people and lying about it. So, and I realized it didn't even matter what I said because they were just gonna make stuff up.
Or
Maybe if you make stuff up and then they'll lie the truth and you'll kind of trick them into this like that could be fun. Like
I
how can I
know.
get that like crazy person to tell the truth? You just tell a bigger lie. There you see.
Yeah, that's a really good for
There you
your
go.
mental health, I'm sure
I'm now a
too.
social media strategist. I could do this.
All right.
So
All
it
right. Well,
sounds
we should
like
go.
you've got an origin story and a transformation story and just things that you're proud of in your life, and that's what you can put online in your videos.
Yes, and just letting people know that it's never too late.
It's
It's
never too late.
never too late to begin moving forward, feeling better, learning how to dream, and even how to have fun, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm still not very good at having fun, but I'm still trying.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show today and
Amen.
having fun
Well,
with
thank you,
us.
and good luck with your foray into the often lawless world of social media as
All
well.
right.
All right. Well, thank you
Thanks,
very much.
everybody. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Maybe you've said, I'll write it when things slow down. But you don't, because the real block isn't time, it's alignment. I'm Valerie Isan, book coach, story analyst, and your witchy book doula. I created Aligned Author for soul-led experts who feel the call to put their life's work into a book that outlives the algorithm and finally say what they came here to say. In Aligned Author, we do two things at once. We build the book and we build the you who can write it. First, we get crystal clear. We start with a 60 to 90-minute strategy session to surface your book's core message, the heartbeat that ties every chapter together, and define your story hypothesis so the whole manuscript knows where it's going. You'll leave with a customized action plan that respects your creative rhythm and your life. Then we meet weekly, one-on-one. These sessions combine story coaching, business strategy, intuitive insight, and creative ritual. We use manuscript diagnostics and proven story elements to shape your structure, and we fold in writing exercises, meditations, and oracle readings to keep you connected to your deepest voice. All calls are recorded for reflection. Between sessions, you're not alone. You get ongoing accountability, weekly, monthly, and direct messaging, so momentum becomes normal. You'll also have access to group reflection and celebration circles because your book may be solitary, but your becoming doesn't have to be. Here's what shifts. You stop trying to write every day out of guilt and start writing on a sustainable rhythm with boundaries that protect your focus and your family time. You stop wondering if your story is redundant. Spoiler, your lived experience in your language is exactly what your reader craves. You stop chasing agents and trends before you even have a book and start building a manuscript that moves readers to action and grows your visibility. Your book becomes a true business card, one with a pulse. What you actually master: story structure, the elements that make a narrative breathe, self-editing with discernment, and the art of moving readers so your message lands and lasts. What you receive: less overwhelm and more inner spaciousness, practical tools for sustainable creativity, and the quiet, profound peace of honoring a soul-level promise to yourself. What you won't have to do: upend your life, sacrifice your relationships, or take 8 years to write a first draft. We clear fear, self-doubt, and burnout by aligning action with your mission. Aligned Author isn't a template or a timeline someone hands you. It's a sacred, strategic container where your book and your next self are midwifed into being with integrity and intuition. If you're standing at the threshold and you can feel that book alive inside you, let's walk the bridge together. Apply for Aligned Author at valerieisan.com aligned author or book a free consult to feel into the fit. Because this isn't about writing any book. It's about writing the book only you can write, the one that turns mastery into legacy. I'm Valerie San. Let's bring your book to life.